Greetings folks, Pockets TK here and welcome back to EVE Online. This video is going to be the first in a new series I'm working on that is targeted at helping new players get their start in EVE, figure out what they want to do and how to go about doing it. As such, this series is not intended to go deep into the numbers and math and comparisons, but more as an overview of what each race does, typically, what each ship, what each of the basic modules do. I'm also going to keep it alpha clone friendly for the most part, so I'm going to be focusing on things that alpha clones can do, so T1 Frigates, Destroyers, Cruisers, and modules that an alpha might use. So first off, EVE is a vast, infinitely complex game. And as such, any of the basic tactics and things I cover can be changed quite easily, and are often, you'll be surprised as you're flying around, you'll see a ship and you think, okay, that frigate does this. And then you engage it, it's completely different, and that's because it really does reward creativity a lot of the time. If you can surprise your opponent, catch them on their back foot, you have the upper hand, you will almost always win. Not always, but almost always. So again, this video is just going to be the basics, it's kind of the intent, as far as I can tell based on my personal experiences, talking to other players, and research I've done over the years. On that note, let's get into it. So this first video, I'm going to do a brief overview of the four factions, go over a little bit of their strengths and weaknesses. We're going to look at the T1 Frigates and the T1 Destroyers. Right, so for this video, we're going to live in the ship viewer. So if you look on your bar here, you should have an icon that says ship tree. Looks like this. If you don't see it here, go up to the neocon menu, scroll down to the ship tree just in the main menu, and if you drag it over to your bar, you'll get the icon saved there. When I first started EVE, and even to today, I spend a lot of time in the ship viewer, as this shows pretty much all the ships that are in the game, with a few exceptions. So we're going to first look at the Amarr. Amarr's primary weapon system are lasers. They use beam and pulse laser cannons as their primary damage. Secondarily, they use drones. For tanking, they are mostly armor tank ships, so they get all their bonuses from armor resistance modules, repair modules, and buffer modules. And we'll go into that in our module discussion when we get to tanking. And for E-War, they use weapon disruptors. We'll go to the other armor tanking faction, which are the Gallente. Now, I'm going to be honest, the Gallente are the ones I know the most about. It's currently what I fly. I fly faction warfare for the Gallente side. Primary weapons are hybrid turrets, so railguns and blasters for long and short range respectively. And secondary, though arguably could be their primary, are drones. Gallente are known as the premier drone race, so a lot of people argue that drones are their primary and hybrids are their secondary. Six of one, half a dozen the other. It doesn't matter. I like them both. Drones are great, hybrids are great. Their E-War are remote sensor dampeners, and we'll get into that when we talk about E-War. Caldari, probably my second most familiar, because that's who I'm fighting against, and it's also who I flew as for a couple of years doing missions, back when I was a scrub. I'm still a scrub. They are a shield tanked race, so their defense comes from shield modules. Primary damage source are hybrid turrets like the Gallente, and their secondary damage weapons are missiles and rockets. And lastly are the Minmatar. Their primary weapon systems are projectile weapons, so you got your artillery and your autocannons. Secondary weapon systems are missiles, if I can get to the right ship. And they are also, like the Caldari, a shield tanked race. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's get into frigates. And we'll start here with the Amarr. We'll go through the frigates and we'll do the races in order. So as I said, Amarr are your armor, tanked, laser, and drone boats. Now, of the 6 frigates for each race, I break them down into 5 categories. Those 5 categories are combat, tackle, E-War, or electronic warfare, logistics, or logi, and exploration. And of those 2, they're broken down into tanking and DPS, typically. So for the Amarr, the Punisher is your tanking frigate. You can see because it gets a resistance bonus to armor, its primary tanking method, and a bonus to energy turret activation costs. So this is your tanked combat frigate, and this is more of the Tormentor is your DPS combat frigate. Both the bonuses are to energy turrets. And that'll be a common thread through all 4 factions. One of them will have an armor bonus, one of them will have more weapons bonuses. So we have the Punisher. This will fit a few laser cannons on it and some tank. So the idea with this is if you want to survive longer, you fly a Punisher. Tormentor will typically do more DPS, and again, as I said, everything's open to change, and as you find fits, you might find the Punisher better for something, but this is less tank, more pew. Next we have our tackle frigates. So this is for the Amarr, it is the Executioner. The 4 tackle frigates, 1 for each race, are easily identifiable by having the propulsion jamming bonus right here. So what tackle ships are intended to do, you fly into the target and you apply a warp scrambler or warp disruptor so they can't warp out of the fight, and maybe what's called a stasis web of fire to slow them down. That holds them in place long enough for the rest of your fleet, your DPS guys and whatever else, to get into position and take them out. Now you can see here it is also bonus to energy turrets. The main reason you would take a combat frigate over the tackle frigate for primary DPS is that normally a combat frigate can fit more weapons or more weapon boosters, so they can get more DPS overall. Then we have our logistics. So for the Amarr, that's the Inquisitor. All the bonuses to armor repair, so amount, cost, so effectiveness, cost, and range. So these are your space priests, and this is the small ones. They go around and heal your friendly target's armor. Instead of weapons in your high slots, you have remote armor repairers. So once they start taking armor damage, you can apply those turrets to your friends and heal their armor using nanobots. Some of them, again, we're not too much detail, but some of them can also fly drones. You can get armor repair drones, which help out. But this is your T1 logistics. If you want to be a space priest, this is where you start. Then we have E-War. So for the Amarr, that's the Crucifier. And the primary E-War for Amarr are weapon disruptors. Looks like this. So the E-War is the opposite of logistics. What this does is it makes your opponent's ships less effective. So instead of targeting friendlies, you typically target the enemy and apply your E-War and make them unable to affect your friendly targets as efficiently. Pretty cool stuff. I like the look of this ship. And lastly is your exploration frigate for the Amarr, which is the Magnate. Now all of the factions' exploration frigates are pretty much the same bonuses in T1. Bonus to core and combat probes. So this is, if you've done the tutorial, you'll know this, but this is how you scan down signatures and find things to fly to and look at. Salvagers in case you want to salvage wrecks. And relic and data analyzers when you're hacking relic and data site containers to get in them and get the goods. My first 2 years, exploration was my primary job. It's what I did. That's what I like doing. I still go out and do it. I'll lose myself out in nullsec for a week in my ship. Then we have our Navy versions. You have a Navy Combat and a Navy E-War. So we'll look at the Navy Combat first. The Imperial Navy Slicer. Once you've got some experience and you've got some skills on your character, this will be a slight upgrade. You can see it's bonused for energy turrets. Once you're ready to fly this, you will have a better understanding of what you're doing, because you don't want to be losing these, especially early on, as they're way more expensive. They're about 5 to 10 times as expensive as a standard T1 version. And then you have your faction E-War. And again, bonused for E-War, the same one, weapon disruptors. This one actually gets an energy turret bonus damage, so you can actually shoot at people, but primary focus is E-War. Again, same hull, different paint job. It's using the Amarr Military, the white. That's what their Navy ships are painted as. So basically the same as the T1 version, just a little bit better typically. But again, up to 5 times as expensive or more. So like Crucifier, you can see the average cost is 17 million for the Navy. It's 400,000 for the T1. Don't want to be losing too many of those. And the natural progression from the frigates from the combat side typically are your T1 destroyers. These are all pretty much all DPS, very little tank. So they're alpha strike. The idea to them is to apply as much damage as quick as possible. If you get pinned down, you're probably going to lose it. They're very good at taking out enemy frigates. So for the Amarr, we have the Coercer, which is their their gunship. Fits like 8 laser cannons. So you can run level 1 mission in these. You'll do just fine in T1 frigates. And then for their other one, they have a Dragoon, which is actually their drone destroyer. There we go. So primary focus on drones. I'll show you the bonuses because I forgot. So you can see here drone hit points and damage. This one actually uses any energy neutralizers, which is a type of E-War. Drains the enemy capacitor so they can do less. And in the case of Nosferatu, it actually reapplies it to your capacitor so you can go longer. And the bonus for the Coercer, all energy turrets all day long. Alright, so Caldari frigates. Starting with their combat frigates, you have the Merlin and the Kestrel. I hit the wrong button. Merlin and the Kestrel. Move over. So the Merlin is your tanky frigate. It has bonuses to shield resistances and hybrid turrets. And then the Kestrel, which is bonused for missiles and rockets, the Caldari secondary weapon system. You often see this ship in a kitey role where it tries to fight from a slight range due to the fact that missiles apply damage in their entire range equally. And then you have your tackle frigate for the Caldari, the Condor. There's your propulsion jamming bonus. The Condor is also bonus for missiles, so it can also fit a fairly good kiting fit. And here he is. Cool looking ship. For the Caldari's E-Warship, you have the Griffin. So you see here, bonus for ECM target jammers. Target jammers basically make it so your opponents can't target your friendly ships. This is probably the most common E-War frigate you'll see, as it seems to be the most effective in the most situations. It's not as situational as some of the other ones. The Caldari Logistics frigate is the Bantam. You see it here, bonused for shield boosters. So obviously if your fleet is all armor tanked, you don't want to be flying this because it's not going to do you any good. Vice versa. If you're taking shield logistics, don't fly an armor ship most of the time, as you won't be able to receive any reps from your friends. Then lastly, we have the Caldari Exploration Ship. Same bonuses as the Magnate. Where these all differ is they'll have different cargo capacities and different slot layouts, and we'll get into that when we get more detail. But again, this is an overview, so they will all perform equally well. And as an alpha, if you're Caldari, this is your exploration ship. Good way to make money early on. Once you're done all the tutorial stuff, grab one of these and go exploring. For the Caldari, their combat navy frigate is the Hookbill. So it's all missile bonused. And here we go. These are very popular in faction warfare. I see a lot of these as I'm out and about doing my flying. And it's got the cool navy digital camo pattern that the Caldari use on their navy vessels. And then the Navy Griffin for E-War. Same paint job. Basically the same hull as the Griffin, just better bonuses, more expensive. For the Caldari, their primary destroyer is the Cormorant. I said it right, yay! It's hybrid bonus. You often see these as sniper fits, so they'll use railguns so they can shoot from a great distance. They get their double bonus to optimal range, 50% per roll and then 10% per level. So you'll often have these as sniper fit. They'll engage from way off and try to kill you before you get within range. These are also very common in faction warfare from the Caldari side. And their second destroyer is the Corax. Now the Corax doesn't see a whole lot of use. It's generally thought of as one of the weaker destroyers. It's the Caldari missile destroyer. When I flew a Caldari character, I did my level 1 missions in these because it's probably one of my favorite looking ships in the game. It's just too bad that it doesn't see much use outside of some niche stuff and people just wanting to fly the thing people say they shouldn't. And you do see that, but not enough. It's a very cool looking ship. It's got that, submarine look. And it's a missile destroyer, so it looks really cool when all 7 rockets and missiles shoot off of it. Okay, on to the Gallente. Now the Gallente is where I have most of my experience recently, as that's what I fly in faction warfare, as I said. But let's get into it. So for the Gallente, the 2 combat frigates are the Incursus and the Tristan. The Incursus is your tankier brawling ship. There's your armor rep bonus and small hybrid turrets. Pretty decent looking ship. Looks like a knight with a lance sticking out the front. It's a sensor array. And then the Tristan, which is one of the only non-pirate drone frigate in the game. So it's bonus for small hybrid turrets and drone ships. Or drone ships. You often see these fit as a kiting ship because drones have a nice long range, so they can stay just outside of E-War range and let the drones do the work. They can be fit as brawl. These are probably the most common ship frigate in faction warfare because they're pretty tough cookies right now. The Gallente tackle frigate is the Atron. As you can see here, there's the propulsion jamming, hybrid turrets. Looks like this. Burn through a lot of these in faction warfare. Primary tackle ship for small gang stuff in the Gallente side. The logistics frigate for the Gallente is the Navitas. So there's your remote armor bonuses, remote armor repair bonuses. It's got a cool fish look to it. So for the E-War, we have the Mollis, remote sensor dampener. So this makes it so that your targets have to target from a closer range, so you can bring those kiters in a bit or make them ineffective, with an I. Looks like this. I have one of these. I have yet to fly it, but it's there ready in case we need it. And then the Gallente exploration ship is the Imicus. I've flown a lot of these on this on my character. As I said, exploration was my primary, so I've flown most of the exploration ships just because. When I fly this one, I have this orange skin on it because it's cool. Kind of lopsided looking weirdness. So for their Navy vessels, you have your Navy combat vessel, the Federation Navy Comet. So bonus to hybrid turrets. It looks like this. It's got the Gallente green camo that they use for all their Navy ships. I fly mine right now with the police skins. I got the Gallente Police Department, flashing lights. Really good looking ship. Tough too. Expensive, but tough. And then for their E-War frigate, the Gallente actually have bonuses to warp scramblers. So this is actually a good tackle ship. Drone bonus as well for tracking his speed and hit points. So this is actually a good ship to fly for tackle. Again with the green camo. Decent little ship. Then the Gallente Destroyers. So first up, the one I fly the most right now is the Algos. It's like a drone boat. So it's a destroyer-based drone ship. Bonus to drone hit points and damage and velocity. Small hybrid turret tracking speed. Looks like this. Awesome looking ship. This is the front. This is the back. There's your drone bays. They come out the back or the side. Kind of looks Battlestar Galactica like just a little bit. And then probably the most common destroyer in the game is the Catalyst. You'll see these everywhere, primarily because they're dirt cheap and they pack a huge punch. There's all the bonuses to hybrid turrets. You can fit 8 of them, either railguns or blasters. You see, these are very popular with the high-sec ganking groups who like to try to kill a ship before the police can come and blow them up. So they lose them in droves, but they can take out many times their cost, especially in small groups. And then loot the corpses and usually make a positive. That's what they do. Okay, so the Minmatar. Their combat frigates are the Rifter and the Breacher. So the Rifter, we'll start there, is your pure DPS frigate. Was once the most common frigate in the game, the most popular frigate in the game, especially for new players. There's entire corporations that were built around these. They've since fallen out of favor. They've been nerfed and some of the other frigates have been buffed, so they're not as powerful as they used to be. But still a very iconic ship if you've been around a while, or if you go looking online, you'll see Rifters mentioned a lot. Lots of pictures. Was once, like I said, the most common frigate in the game. Most widely used. Cool looking ship with the 2 big booms on the front. There you go. Very rusty, as all Minmatar ships are. Rust and duct tape. And then the Breacher, which is their missile boat, is also bonused for shield booster mounts, so it's shield recharging. Interesting looking ship with this like scaffolding in the front, holding the sails. Moving on to the Minmatar tackle, we're looking at the Slasher here. So there's your propulsion jamming bonus yet again. Projectile turret damage and range, or damage and tracking speed, I apologize. Cool looking scarab looking little ship, the wings on the sides. There's the rust. Not quite as much duct tape on this one. It's a newer model. Then you have their logistics, the burst. So you see here shield booster amount, range, and activation cost bonuses. Here you go. It's one ugly little ship, but it's got charm. You know. And then their E-War frigate, the Vigil. So they're primary target painters. So this is actually, their E-War is actually a bonus to your fleet. You target paint the enemy and it causes them to be easier to hit. It's most effective with missile ships. So you'll often see Vigils or any of the upgrades from the Vigil accompanying missile fleets, because missiles seem to take better advantage of target painters than turrets do. There you go, very vertical. And then the Minmatar exploration ship is the probe. There's your relic analyzer, your core probe strength, salvager. This one just recently got updated, new sails. Interesting looking little deal. I haven't flown this since they updated the model, but there you have it. For their Navy vessels, their combat frigate is the Republic Fleet Firetail. I do see a lot of these from time to time in faction warfare as well. A lot of these Navy frigates are popular. So bonus to projectile turrets. Cool looking beetle shape. Kind of aggressive looking. It's got the green and brown camo. These are pretty fast. Good little ships. Then you have the Vigil fleet issue. It's bonus for stasis webifiers and rockets. So this is a good little close range brawler with its own tackle. Don't see too many of these. I haven't seen too many of these in the air, but there you go. Same model, but with the green camo. And then their 2 destroyers. The first up is going to be the Telwar, which is their missile boat. It's also bonus for a micro warp drive with the signature penalty. So in short, without getting too much detail, this makes micro warp drives when in use make you easier to hit. This one gets a less so penalty from micro warp drives. And then their projectile, the Thrasher. I have flown a few of these in fleets. These are much like the Catalyst. They're very good alpha DPS, so one shot. You get enough of them on grid, you can wipe things out before they can do any damage. All turret-based bonuses for projectiles. I've mostly flown these as artillery, long-range, insta-locking, threat removal. Pretty aggressive-looking ship. Alright, so that was a quick overview of all the factions and their frigates and destroyers. To recap, combat frigates are your primary DPS frigates. They're really good all-around units, especially for solo play or in small gang warfare. If you want to be the guy punching the enemy in the face, those are the frigates you want to be flying. They're good in level 1 missions. You can fly some level 2s, but it's not recommended. Small anomalies in high sec, running around belts in high sec, taking out enemy pirates. Small gang DPS blobs. Tackle frigates really shine in small gang warfare. In my experience, they've always been welcome in almost any fleet. You know, if it's a cruiser fleet, your tackle frigates can get to the targets and tie them down while the cruisers get there. Your E-War frigates, again, another small gang or even large gang warfare ship. Really good at disrupting the enemy's ability to perform, allowing your team more opportunities to take advantage. Logistic frigates, again, primarily a group ship. Really turn the tide of battle by keeping your friendly hit points up, allowing them to stay on the grid longer to do more damage to the enemy target. And exploration frigates are a really good source of early ISK. Take them out, explore high sec, low sec, null sec, whatever. They will often pay for themselves 10 times over before you lose them. Destroyers are a natural progression from your combat frigates. Very low tank, not a lot of room for tank modules, but pack a really good punch and are really quick to get into. Even as an alpha character, you can fly destroyers pretty effectively, especially in small gangs where you can one-shot a lot of targets off the grid before they can even engage. And then the Navy issue versions of E-War and combat frigates, for when you're a little more experienced, have the skill points. They're definitely a good upgrade. They can do a little more damage. They are more expensive, as I showed, so you don't want to be losing too many of them early on when you don't have the ISK. In addition, some other little questions just before we close here. Rule number 1 in EVE is never, ever, ever undock a ship you're not willing to lose. Hitting undock is consent to lose the ship. I also found that if you lose the ship, throw a good fight in local, you go, hey, I'm new, what did I do? They'll go, oh, here, check out this video, do this, here's some money to replace your ship. So never let your anger and your sadness over losing the ship get the better of you. Be polite and be awesome, and you'll have a good time in EVE. Alright folks, so that is my quick overview of frigates and destroyers. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you find it helpful. If you have any comments or if I got something wrong, absolutely let me know in the comments below. Always like talking about Eve. It's one of my favorite things to do, and it bores my wife to tears, so there we go. As always, folks, until next time, take care of each other, and I am out of here.